Yes, this happened right in the middle of filming my intro. Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the brand new GATAC TYILUI. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review, and today the GATAC TYILUI, we're taking a look. This ship's name is very hard to pronounce, but I'm pronouncing it based off the video released from Cloud Imperium Games themselves. This ship is quite big, and it's a beautiful looking ship, but does it match the standards needed to become a snub carrier into a battlefield? Let's talk about that. Thank you everybody for joining me on today's review. What124, Cypher 1, Winrar 42, RSI Leviathan, Floating By, Harrier, Zane 19, Sloth, and Rag777. You guys are awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. This ship here is $385 war bond, or you can buy it for $425 store credit. Now, that's a pretty hefty price tag, and you have to ask yourself, what does this ship have to offer for you? Well, we have an answer, and I'm not sure you're gonna really enjoy the answer, because is it really something you can use in today's verse? It does have 17-minute and 19-second claim time, or a 5-minute and 39-second expedited claim time. So it's pretty quick. You know, you're back to the ASOP terminal. You're getting back in this ship if you really want to. And then you're looking at what does this ship have to offer when it comes to weapons package, the damage output for gunners, everything on it. Well, the pilot stock has 3,272 burst pilot damage per second due to the 4 size 4 CF447 Rhinos. Now, you also have 4 Tempest 2 cross-section missiles. Get rid of those. Get EM missiles as soon as you can. That's going to be your best bet. And then 16 Task Force 1 EM missiles. Now, the reason why I said get rid of those cross-section is because unless you're constantly pinging and the cross-section on the ship you're trying to attack is pretty big, you're more than likely never going to get a lock. So remember that and maybe switch over to an EM. Now, if you're looking at all the turrets on the ship, and there is a few extras on here compared to the Railin, you have 2 extra turrets on the back of this ship in comparison to the Railin, and they house 4 size 3 CF337 Panthers, which is pretty cool. And then you have your 4 size 4 CF447 Rhinos, giving you a total of 5,454 burst turret damage per second. So what that means is you have a lot of firepower, especially when those side turrets are facing forward with the pilot, which they absolutely can, and they can hit the target. You have a phenomenal amount of firepower. But let's take a look at what weapons you should put on here instead. On the pilot's weapons, I would probably put Deadbolt 4s. For the side turrets, you can go with the 84Bs, and for the backs, you want to go with the SW16s, because you want ballistic firepower all over this. So that's going to take away a lot of that power requirement, which this thing does have a problem with its power. Now, you can remove a cooler, which is good. You don't need 2 coolers. You can remove one and still be perfectly fine. And then you can switch those weapons out to ballistic, and you should have plenty power to operate the ship. Here are my recommended components for the ship. Go ahead and take a quick look. And when you're looking at this, you have to see, like I said, you can remove one of those coolers. You'll still be fine. There won't be any overheating issues. And then, of course, you'd swap those weapons out. You'd switch up your power supply. Everything you see here can be purchased in stores in the game. So you don't have to worry about trying to find it somewhere in the verse, which is pretty nice. And then you have a total of 144,000 quadrant shield. If you were to stick with the stock shield generators, that's how much shield you have overall. Now, it is a quadrant shield, so there is a quarter of that for each face. And then you do have 10,560 ship armor with a 116 deflection physical and a 110 deflection energy. Now, I have to say, in comparison to the Railin, that stat is not changed at all. It's the same exact stat, and that's kind of terrible. You can't be expected to bring this thing into a battlefield with lack lacking armor to actually sustain being in a battlefield while trying to launch your snub ships. So if you're going to bring this thing anywhere, you have to launch those snubs before you actually reach where everybody might attack you, because you are going to die rather quickly. You only have 70,460 ship HP, and that's not even what you're concerned about. What you're concerned about is the fact that you're going to lose your ship armor very fast, and then you're going to have to deal with your components dying, and then the rest of the ship exploding just mere moments later, and that's not good. So honestly, I think for what this ship's role is, the ship HP and the ship armor are lackluster, majorly lackluster. They should be much more than what they are right now. Now, if you're taking a look at the ship's speed, it actually is a little bit slower than the Raelin 2, sitting at 165 SCM with a 335 forward boost, a 175 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 980. That's not good. I mean, you are a combat carrying ship, right? You carry a lot of firepower. You have a lot more firepower with the snubs that you carry, and then you are slow. You don't have much armor. You don't have much HP. You are a very big target, the cross-section on this thing, which is a lot more important compared to the Raelin, because the Raelin you're not really supposed to be taking into a combat zone. Unlike this ship, where you're supposed to be deploying your snubs into a fight because they can't quantum to the fight, that's not good. You are a massive target, and you aren't able to take much of a hit. Now, you do have a pitch yaw roll of 22, 22, 55, boosted 26, 26, 66. Again, that's the same as the Raelin. It's not going to matter much because you can't be moving in all sorts of directions when you're trying to deploy your snubs. And honestly, this ship feels more like a snub transport ship, to where it's supposed to be transporting it from station to station and not exactly transporting into a battlefield, because I'm afraid the second you get into a fight, you're going to have a problem. We took this thing fully manned into a Ghillies 5, and the Vanguard there started to make things hurt really badly on this ship, and that's not something good. One ship with a little bit of ballistics doing that much damage to a ship that should be able to be in a battlefield for a bit longer. Could you imagine being out there with a few fighters attacking you? Now, you do have a total of 96 flares and 10 decoys with a top SCU hydro fuel of 125 and 5.3 SCU of quantum fuel. Now, on top of carrying those snubs, there are 2 grids on this ship that carry a total of 96 SCU on the cargo grid, which we'll take a look at here momentarily. First, we're going to go into the first person's perspective, and then we'll have that PVE fight later showing you the Ghillies 5 fight. But now we are here in the first person, taking a look at the exterior of this ship. The first thing you're going to notice that's different is the stock paint. It is a bit different. I actually really like the stock paint on this. It's really nice looking. And then over here is that fuel port, which is actually working a little bit better. Check this out. If I open it, oh, it's a little too low. Oh man, yesterday it was way up here, now it's over here. It's pretty interesting though, because this fuel port is attached to something that isn't even connected to any other part of the ship. So we got Bluetooth fuel before anything else. I really don't know how the fuel is going to do this. It's going to be pretty interesting to see. So unless we have to lower the suspension on this and connect all the dots, that's I don't know how that works. And you're definitely not holding 5.3 SCU of quantum fuel just right here. So very, very interesting. Now, if we're taking a look on the opposite side, this is the elevator access to your ship. You go ahead and press that button and the elevator comes right on down. It is very nice. And it has a great animation, but I do have to tell you, again, for a combat ship, that animation takes forever. Could you imagine being in a situation where you're landing on the ground, you're getting some supplies, you're waiting for your snubs to land in the ship or get some repairs or whatnot, and you start getting attacked? Could you imagine how long this might take for a situation? And without that armor or health pool that you can count on, you are in a very, very tricky situation. So be very, very careful about where you fly or where you land this ship, because it could be a very bad time for you. Now, we're going to go ahead and make our way into the interior of the ship, where you're going to see a pretty dramatic difference. I think it's actually gorgeous, and I wish the Raelin had this. If you look straight ahead and straight up, look at the beautiful, beautiful design language here. This just looks fantastic. It's very gorgeous, and I think I love having this extra design elements added to these ships. It just looks really good, especially all the alien ships. And then you have a fire extinguisher, one right there. And of course, our crew is here, happy to help, and a great time. I really appreciate them. It was a great, great time. Now, you're going to notice a big difference in this room right here. You have the elevator, but to the left and to the right, you do not have the weapons racks or your armor lockers. What you have instead is the hallways on the first floor that will lead you directly to the weapons rack and lockers and your hangar. So right here is the weapon rack and your 2 armor lockers, and it's replicated on the other side of the ship. And then you have a bench that you can go ahead and sit down, which is pretty nice. This just looks phenomenal. If you ask me, it's a really cool design. Feels very Covenant, like Halo or something, and I just think it's really cool. And then if you make your way into the hangar, this is where this ship is dramatically different, because this is where your snubs dock, right? This is where they land. This is where they take care of business. You have this really cool looking like force field ripped straight from a Covenant ship, or straight out of the Halo ring itself, walking pad here that you can walk all the way around the ship, and it's insane. So you land each little snub on one of these pads, which you can walk on, no problem. It's not gonna, you know, have an issue for you. And then you can open up the hangar door using each one of the buttons on the pads themselves. So it opens up the door. It looks really cool, a really cool animation. And then you can lift off and shoot right on out. And then you have right here the pad for your SCU of cargo. You could fit a total of 8 SCU containers here and right there on the roof. So you have 2 spots for them, carrying a total of 96 SCU. It is really awesome. So we're gonna make our way around, and here's another pad, and then around, and right here is another pad with a nice looking snub parked right here. You know, you got the pit bull. It looks really good. It's a fantastic ship. They're taking care of it and doing some work. You have some other design elements that are moving around, and it looks really good. Their design team is just on point. Now, you know, this room is really cool. I think the idea is really cool. But it just is complicated when the stats don't align with the, you know, profession of the ship. And the stats are very important, because if you don't have much armor or health, you aren't going to survive what you're intended to do. Now, on top of that, if you go ahead and take a look right here, you do have a tractor beam, which is controlled by the co-pilot seat in the cockpit. Now, this tractor beam does not have any sort of good angle to touch anything on the ground, so any sort of cargo that you're putting on this ship, you'll have to bring right on up here from an exterior source, like somebody with a tractor beam, and then you would grab it from there, or you'd have to angle the rear end of this ship towards where your cargo is to pick it up, which honestly, that's kind of too bad. I was hoping that tractor beam would have been placed somewhere on the outside, maybe in a different area to allow that to easy move cargo in and out, but it's definitely not. Now, we're going to go down this hallway here. We didn't go down originally, and you can see the door has that really cool light setting, and another weapons rack and armor locker. It looks really good. Putting your weapons here, having easy access in and out is really nice. It's just too bad the enter animation isn't the greatest, you know, speed-wise, but it's still very, very beautiful. Now we're going to go ahead and make our way to the second floor here. We're going to go right here, do this. We might get some leaving the party notifications because some of the team has to go. It's been a very long, frustrating day, as you can tell by the end of the intro. We had some issues with the servers and everything. But now we're into another floor this floor pretty much is ripped straight from the railing. They are replicas. This floor, there's really no differences in comparison to the railing. So if you look to your left, you have right here your turret access with the 2 escape pods, the beautiful window in the seating area, the button that opens up for a potential battery in the future or a different component. We'll go ahead and close that up. And then of course your turret access, which we'll get into one of the turrets really quick just to show you exactly what the field of view looks like. And then we will move on to the rest of habitation and the pilot's deck. So let's take a look here. This gun. Now you're asking, why does this gun's weapons or why are they positioned like this? Why don't we have 4, or why aren't they left to right? The reason being is because this ship's forward-facing firepower with them like this is just phenomenal. I'm not looking straight ahead right now. I'm crossing the front of the cockpit. My weapons are able to hit targets on the right side of the ship, even though I'm on the left side of the ship. And that's the reason why. If you had a quad turret here and 2 guns to the right, or you just had the guns left and right like you normally would, one of the guns would be useless. It wouldn't be able to do what it's able to do right now. So this allows it to fire forward completely fine. It fires to the left just fine. Down, it's a little bit restricted in some areas, but it's not terrible, like right here. It's really good in most angles and aspects. It's probably one of the better turret situations in the game, so I love to see it. And if you upgrade those guns, like I told you, you are going to have phenomenal firepower once you are out there fighting the AI or players, and you got to love to see that. Now, we'll make our way out of this room really quick. You got another fire extinguisher, and then right on over here, we'll go ahead and hit that button. You have another area for a fuse location. We all love our fuses. We'll go ahead and close that up. Now, this time we'll walk our way through the habitation first. You got the nice little area here with the beautiful sounds, as always. And then you have 4 beds, 1, 2, 3, and number 4. They are beautiful. Everything looks great. The design of the ship's very stone, very architect. It looks phenomenal. I just love everything about it. I just can't get over how good these ships look. It's too bad everything else doesn't align with this ship, and the gameplay isn't really there for it. Why would you fly 4 snubs that have no quantum drives instead of just flying 4 arrows or 4 gladiuses, right? There's the big question that needs to be answered. This is the opposite side with another turret access point and 2 more escape pods, as well as another beautiful little chair you can sit down and look out the window. And then if you make your way back on out and towards the front of the habitation area, you have a beautiful seating area. You have a nice little kitchen area. And I learned from the Raylan review, they ferment their food. This is where that happens. So it's not like us. They eat their food differently. It sounds very gross, and I won't take any part in that. But we do have a nice little area for humans to eat from, you know, ice cream maker, coffee maker, fridge, all that kind of stuff, and more fermented area. The beautiful waterfalls, it really does just take you over, right? If you watch this for long enough, you might start seeing the future, like the Squadron 42 coming our way soon. Oh, we can all hope. But here's a nice seating area with some nice actual seats that are hovering. And then this is where the areas for your flare. So when you go through the vehicle manager and you see the flare areas, if you have things like the bobblehead or the flags or anything like that, this is where it'll sit. One here and one right on over there. It's pretty nice, but also kind of weird where they're sitting. They also kind of hover there. It's interesting. I'm not really sure about it. And then you have the big old beautiful window here with the cockpit right above us where everybody go ahead and fly the ship and use the guns. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Nice little floor here. Again, very beautiful, very good holographic fishes. Sooner or later, we'll get holographic fishing. That'll be good. And then we have 2 bathrooms, one here and one right on over here. So if we take a look, it looks pretty decent. You got nice toilet access if you press the buttons on the wall. So that comes right out of the wall, and then you have nice toilet paper. And then you have the Xi'an toilets. So you don't want to touch those because no good. And for some reason, I just hit the wrong button. But yes, anyways, you got 2 bathrooms. So that's good. You have plenty of bathroom space. You even have a shower right here. So if you look up, there is a shower. You just got to kind of hug the wall a little bit or you're not going to be able to use it. Now let's make our way to the 3rd floor, which is where the pilot and turret access points for the remote turrets are. So we'll make our way up. That first door right in front of you is right where that area is, but first you got to turn around. This is where the door would normally be for your EVA access to this ship. With this variant of the ship, you do not have EVA access, not at all. So it's gone. No armor lockers up here, no weapon lockers. You do have a nice fire extinguisher. And then you have all of your components behind each one of these panels, which is pretty nice. If you go to this front right one and open that up, this is where your engineering terminal is, and you can access that for the ship. Now we'll make our way to the front here with the motion sensor light. Ooh, it's so beautiful. And they have it on the 2nd floor too. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And then here is another fire extinguisher. And then more component access areas. You go ahead and open that up and open the one over there. They're just both your coolers. Like I said, get rid of them. Get rid of one of them. You don't need one of them. And then you have the cockpit, the pilot seat, the co-pilot seat, the rear gunner seat, and another rear gunner seat. Because like I said, you have 2 rear gunners, and the points of view from them, not so great. You can look up, you can look back, and kind of look around a little bit, but you can't do much for like full extension around you, right? The 360 view isn't there for the rear turrets. It's just to keep the backside of you, hopefully without any attackers, right? So we'll hop into this seat really quick and give you a show. This is kind of where it's at. You get a little bit of view left, a little bit of view right, and a little bit down. Not much of a depression here. And then you go up and you have a lot of upwards view. Same with the bottom one. It looks up, it looks left and right a little bit, and you got a little bit of forward facing kind of. Could you imagine having a target in front of you and able to get all these guns kind of on target? That'd be pretty insane. But now we're gonna get out of this seat here. We'll hop into the pilot seat really quick and just show you how it looks from the pilot seat. And then you can take a look at some PVE footage and my score. Yes, my score of this ship. I have to say, you know, it's very dependent on you, the people you're around. If you want to fly snubs, this isn't a bad option, but it's probably the worst option out of all of them because the Idris, the Polaris, all these other ships that can carry snubs and do it much more protected might be the way to go. But when you're in this seat, you have a fantastic cockpit view. It looks great. Your power system's terrible. Get rid of the energy weapons. Get rid of one of your coolers. You're good to go there. And then you can open the rear hanger from the pilot or co-pilot seat just using this button here. It's pretty cool. Gotta like that. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that PVE fight really quick, and then I'll give you my score. All right, you saw the fight. It was fine. I mean, in PvE, PvP, you do have a ton of firepower, but you have to remember with this ship or the Raelin, you are very weak, as in you're fragile. Any sort of ballistic weapons will rip through you and rip through you pretty quick, and you have to take care of that. If you're being attacked by something that has energy weapons, you can last a bit longer because your shield will take the brunt of it. But when you're fighting something with ballistics, pay very close attention to when your armor is gone and when you're starting to take critical damage and get out of that fight. Overall, with this ship, my score is a 65 out of 100. There's a lot of potential with this ship, but right now the health pool is too low, the armor is too low, your speed even got hit a little bit in comparison to the Raelin. It's just not in a good state for a ship that's potentially supposed to launch snubs out of the back of it. And when we brought the snubs into this ship, I think it might have been a server issue, but they lost some sort of sync with the server and started flying through the ship. I don't know if that really counts towards the score, because that just might have been the server. But then parking those things are a real struggle and can be kind of haphazard, right? It's a struggle. You don't have much of an access point back there for 4 ships, and then you got to take off slowly, one at a time. It's a ship that has potential for being something, but it's in a point of where if you enter a combat zone, you're probably going to get ripped apart before you even get more than 1 snub off your ship. I don't know. Let me know your guys' experience with this ship. If you've been able to get out there into a fight against real players or AI and actually survive with this ship itself. And while the GATAC TYILUI is an interesting looking ship and it's fantastic and it looks beautiful, the biggest problem is just its survivability. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I think it's a beautiful ship, but it's just not in a good point right now. Maybe in the future, maybe it'll be able to take more of a hit and not be so fragile. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.